So we should be on the back side because we skipped numbers 5 and 6 on the examples. Okay. So yesterday we talked about when we're trying to find slope, we were using the rise over run formula, right? I don't know that we can really call that a formula just because it's like actions and not expressed variables and things. But today we're going to use those variables, okay? So the real slope formula looks like this. So go ahead and make sure you get this down next to the m equals on the top. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it looks kind of complicated, right? Have you ever seen that before? Not in middle school when you were doing slope then either? No? Okay.
You don't need to stop talking because your voice is
So when you're trying to figure out slope, you're taking, if you pretend we're plugging numbers in here, you're taking the y value of each coordinate pair and you're putting it on top, but you're subtracting one from the other. Okay? You don't really need to know this part of it or the language of it. You really just need to have this equation in your head and in your notes, okay? And then you're going to take the coordinate pair, the x value of each pair, and subtract those as well. Okay? Does everyone have that written down? Probably doesn't make sense yet till we start punching the numbers in. Okay? That's okay though. We're going to get some practice. Okay, so for example 7, go ahead, so you have a visual in front of you, go ahead and write underneath these numbers like I'm doing. This is x1, this is y1, okay? If this is going to help you on your homework or on your quizzes, you don't have to write this in. But if it helps you remember what number goes with which variable, I very highly recommend doing that because it would be very easy to mix those up. And I know that several of us struggle with remembering when you're looking at a line, remembering what point goes where when you're writing the ordered pair. So go ahead and write those down there for you. x1, y1, x2, y2. And the reason I'm putting these 1s and 2s beside it is so that I know that these variables are from the first pair and these variables are for the second pair. Okay? So then if I'm going to go ahead and write that equation, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, x1, sorry. Then I'm just going to plug those numbers in for that. So what's my y2 value? Anybody?
3.
3, good. Thank you, AJ. And what is my y1 value? Negative 3? Okay, real quick, I'm going to start this part over. I'm going to write my line like this, and I'm going to put the minus signs on the top and bottom just to match my equation. y2 was 3, and then you said y1 was negative 3. What is my x2 value? 0. And someone besides AJ, what's my x1 value? How about Cody or Danielle? Do you know what my x1 value is? Do you have a guess? Nobody? It's the only variable, or the only number we haven't used out of those pairs yet. Negative 2. See, so the x1, which we're trying to find, is right here, negative 2. Does that make sense? Why it's that number? Okay. So what's 3 minus negative 3. Can I go ahead and make these plus signs? Right, because a negative plus a negative, or I'm sorry, a negative minus, it's a plus, right? When you have the two negative signs, it becomes a plus sign.
Remember Carlos and Emmons? What is it called? When you have a negative and minus sign touching. What do you call it? You don't remember?
You remember, Cody?
Dirty math.
Yeah, dirty math. So what do you do with those two negatives? You change it to one positive, one plus sign.
The way that I did that when I was trying to remember when you have a negative, or a minus and a negative, instead of writing it like that, I would see that I had two negative signs and I would just conjoin them. So it takes the same amount of lines, right? I don't know if that would help you, but it helped me remember it. So what's 3 plus 3?
6.
Easy, thank you. And what is this going to be? 0 minus negative 2?
2.
It's positive 2, because we changed these to plus signs, right? So 0 plus 2 is 2. And then, how am I going to simplify that?
It's going to be 3. 1.
3 over 1, yep, because 2 goes into both of those numbers, so I'm going to divide top and bottom by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 2 divided by 2 is 1, right? So then, slope m equals 3 over 1. Is it starting to click a little bit more? Hopefully. We're going to keep
20 minutes
practicing.
when you did example 7. So are we done?
As soon as everyone has this written down, yep.
Good.
Okay.
Done.
Example 8.
Done with that? Done with the notes?
Done with the worksheet.
Okay, so if I've got that equation in front of me again, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then I'm going to write my variables up here. y1, and this is x2, or, yeah, x2, y2. Sorry, I'm just drawing that so you can see those are separate. So, how am I going to set up this equation? Somebody besides AJ, please. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm, but I want to make sure everyone else knows what they're doing too. Daisha, can you tell me what to plug in here? So y2 goes here, right? Because we're bringing that equation down. What's y2? Mm-hmm. Good. And then we need y1. What's that? I heard it over here. 7. Thank you, Danielle. And now on the bottom, I need x2. What's x2? Is that what you said? 5? Yep. You can use your fingers since your voice is gone. Thank you. How about x1? 1? Mm-hmm. Good. And then, Cody, what's 9 minus 7?
9 minus 7 or 5 minus 1.
Or anybody? 9 minus 7? You can use your calculators if you need to.
It's 2.
2.
No.
Yeah, 2. Thank you, Mike. And 5 minus 1?
4.
4.
And that's not simplified, so you gotta do 1, 2.
Mm-hmm. So 2 goes into both the top and the bottom. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So then your slope
You don't have to
equals
rewrite all that.
1
You
over
can just
2.
write, how you have the formula there, the m equals 9 minus 7, 5 minus 1.
Okay.
You can just box the 1 half there.
This, okay.
As long as, the biggest thing you guys want to make sure you're doing, every time you write the formula, like how Mrs. Schultz has that m equals, every time you write your formula, you have to have that m equals. If you don't have that m equals, when you go to take your quiz or your test, you're going to lose that point. Not because I'm being extra, but because I need to know which formula you're solving for, because what does m stand for? the variable m stand for? Slope, yeah, so I need to see that every time. So just how that's written like that, that's perfect.
Okay, we are ready for the next one? Does everyone have it written down? Am I standing in your way ever? Okay, cool. Okay, example 9. So underneath the first coordinate pair, I'm going to write x1, y1. Then over here, I'm going to write x2, y2. Then Jaden, what is this going to look like?
You don't put it there.
What's, hold on, I want Jaden to tell me. What's this first number going to be?
Y2,
Which is what?
negative Y2.
Hmm?
It's gonna be Y2 and Y1.
Y2 and Y1. And then the bottom is what?
X2, X1.
Good, because that's our equation. You don't have to write this equation every time you do this. Just because you have it at the top of your note sheet, you already know it. But I think it's helpful to have up here to see every time. So then if I'm working it out, what numbers do I plug in for those? -3, yep. Then Jaden, what's the next one?
Negative 5.
Perfect. I'm going to write that in parentheses because it's a negative by a minus sign. And Danielle, can you tell me what goes on the bottom? Perfect. Yep. And what else? Awesome. Yep. So again, there's a minus sign next to a negative sign, which makes it addition. What's -3 plus 5? You can use your calculator if you need to. -2. Yep. And how about -4 plus 2? -2. Thank you. And then how is that going to reduce? -1. So 2 goes into both of these. So I'm going to divide top and bottom by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So my slope is -1 over 1. So when eventually you're going to have these ordered pairs and you're going to have this slope and then you're going to have a coordinate plane over here to where you can graph it and you can see the line written and that it's going down because it's a negative, it would be going down 1 and right 1. You're going to see that written out eventually, okay? Okay, just a couple more, then we can start on the worksheet, okay? Do you want us to stop before we get through the end of the week?
Yes.
All of them, okay.
Since we're done, we may have to do this tomorrow.
Okay. Daisha, can you tell me what this looks like? What numbers get plugged in? Just by looking at the equation on the top of your sheet. Yes. Perfect. And then how about the bottom? And then what's 3 minus -3? How do you figure that out? How do you figure out that top?
Wait, huh? I'm confused.
What's 3 minus -3?
Why do you have a positive number like 6?
Perfect. Because you've got a minus sign next to a negative sign. You change it to addition, and you set it 3 plus 3 is 6. Nice job. That's really confusing, seeing all those negative and minus signs beside each other. How about the bottom?
Why do you like positive?
Nope. I understand why you think that, but because that first value is a -2, that doesn't change. Only these signs change. So it's going to be -2 plus 2. What's that? Mm-hmm. 0. And so what's 6 divided by 0? Anything divided by 0 is 0.
No. Sorry,
Oh.
this is a tricky one. Everyone right now, type into your calculator 6 divided by 0.
It's 0.
We said divide by 0 error.
Okay, so if you take 6 and divide it by 0, you get an error. I'll look at this 6 or something. So,
What you have to do is 0
if I have 6 markers, that's basically what I'm having. I have 6 markers. You typed it in different. You didn't type 6 divided by 0, you typed 0 divided by 6. If I have 6 markers, can I divide them into 0 groups? How many groups do I automatically have here?
3.
Well, at least automatically have at least 1, and then I can take them and divide them into all different types of groups, right? But if I have 6 markers, I can't just make them disappear. So if you take 6 divided by 0, your calculator says you get an error. This is extra credit. It took me 2 years to remember this. So when you do when you take 6 divided by 0, you get an error. What kind of line is it going to be? Stop and think. Is it going to be a positive slope, a negative slope, an undefined slope, or a 0 slope?
Undefined.
slope.
That's right.
Look, we both.
So here, when you take 6 divided by 0 and you get error, you're going to put equals undefined.
Oh, can I have apple juice?
So you're going to put equals undefined. Now, Michael, how you had it, if you had 0 divided by 6, then you actually get 0, and that slope would be 0. A little trickiness for you guys. Thursday morning wake up, right?
Okay, I think we have 2 more. Last 2, then we're going to get some practice in, okay?
I only have 13 minutes left.
Doesn't take that long.
It won't take us 15 minutes.
Y1, x2, y2. Okay. Danielle, what are the top 2 numbers? What's going to go right here? Mm-hmm. And then on the top right? Mm-hmm. Same thing. Because both y values are -3. And then, Mike, can you tell me what's on the bottom?
On the bottom.
Mm-hmm. So what's going to go right here?
Zero.
0, yep. And then how about this one?
-2.
Perfect. I could probably write this bigger for you guys. I will next time. Okay. And then we're going to make this an addition problem, right? -3 plus 3. Somebody? What's that?
It's 0.
0. Stacia, your whispers are funny for your voice. And then I'm going to change the bottom to an addition problem again because there's a minus sign next to a negative sign. What's 0 plus 2?
It's
2. And this looks like what we had last time, doesn't it? So what's that going to be? Is it going to be 0 or is it going to be undefined?
It's undefined.
Right, Mrs. Lidekin?
Type into your calculators. 0 minus 2. What do you get?
0.
0 divided by 2, what do you get?
You get 0.
Whoever said
You got what?
error.
Yeah, you got 0. The other time that so the other time that it was written, this top number, when the top number is a number and your bottom number is a 0, that's undefined. Because if you type in your calculator, it tells you it's an error. But if you type in your calculator this time, 0 divided by 2, it is in fact 0.
Dang it.
So what you're going to do, how you're going to write that one though, you're going to put 0, but remember, a 0 line doesn't go straight up down because that's undefined. A 0 line goes this way. So if let's say this is my x and my y, and let's say that here is my first point, right? But a 0 line goes left and right. So my rise is always going to be what? What's my rise? What's my top number? My rise is always going to be 0 because I'm never going to move up. But my line doesn't just stop there. It constantly moves over, right? So what's my run going to be? If my rise is 0, but my run is what? From this point to this point, I move 1. From this point to this point, I move 1. From this point to this point, I move what?
1.
This point to this point, I move what?
1.
So what's my run going to be? 1. So how am I going to write my answer for a 0 line? My rise is 0, my run is 1. 0 and undefined are the most tricky ones of this lesson. And I promise you, I will mess you guys up at least 50% of you on the quiz or the test. Prove me wrong though. It's confusing.
That's the answer?
That's the answer.
Okay. I don't remember that. Okay, last one.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, okay. Who wants to help me out?
None of us, because that's a large number.
That is a big number. Do you want to try anyway?
No.
Because it's a nice challenge.
Let me try.
You've got your
What, are you
calculator
gonna
in front of
reward
you.
us?
Let me try.
With the chance to get your homework done early? Sure.
No. If you're not gonna reward us, then no, we're not gonna do it.
AJ sounds like he wants to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got your calculator in front of you. It shouldn't be hard. Okay, what's up, AJ? What is it?
Okay, so you put 56 and then -4 and then 23 and then 11.
Good. Then Mike, can you tell me what that top number is going to be? I'm going to change this to addition because I've got a minus and a negative next to each other. You can use your calculator.
60.
Yes.
Are you
Nice.
gonna ask me where the variable is or something?
No?
Good.
We've already got those filled in. How about 23 minus 11? Thank you, AJ. And then what number goes into both of these?
2, 4, 6.
Mm-hmm. All of those do. Let's do 6 because it's bigger than those. 60 divided by 6 equals what? 10. And then 12 divided by 6 is 2. Then what number goes into both of those?
5.
No,
No, 2.
2. So I'm going to divide by 2 again on top and bottom. 10 divided by 2,
5.
5. And 2 divided by 2, 1. So my slope is 5 over 1. I'm going to tell you that 12 goes into both of these numbers. But
What's another way that you can simplify that if you don't know how to simplify it out by hand like that?
Multiply.
No.
And
So you could simply divide it, or you can use your calculator and you type in 60 fraction button, so 60 ABC button 12. When you do that, you're going to get what number? So type it in 60 ABC button 12. So you get 5. So that's going to be your rise, but because you need a run, what do we put up under it? What number can we always put up under it without changing in here?
I'll be like,
1.
He left his other worksheet downstairs, so we can do it down there.
I think it's doing the Okay. So for the last 8 minutes, I want you to get at least 2 of them done, okay?
wait.
On your worksheet. I just passed it out.